Welcome back to JAK Sports. My name is Jacob Kelly, and this is the show where we take you through the biggest stories in sports that you might have missed this week. I'm sorry I didn't have a video last week. I've been super duper busy between work. I'm going to be starting a new job soon. I'm moving out, so that means that this lovely background will no longer be featured in these videos. This will most likely be the last video with this background. And again, no time to prepare, so I will once again be using my phone and the Score app and just kind of doing this on the fly. It's hard to do a video every week without talking to the Ball family to some degree, and the biggest Ball family news from the past week comes from the youngest brother, Lamelo. This past week at the Adidas Uprising Summer Championship, which is an AAU tournament, and for those of you that don't know, AAU is a club basketball circuit in the United States. Lamelo Ball's a big baller team played off against SC Supreme, which is the team of Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is a top recruit in the 2018 class. He's 6'7", 230. He doesn't look like he's a high school basketball player. He looks like he's a linebacker in the NFL. And these two teams squared off, and Zion Williamson's SC Supreme ended up edging Lamelo Ball's big baller in overtime. And of course, it was an AAU game, so the quality of basketball really was not that good at all. But the reason we're talking about this game in particular is the crowd that came to watch. The crowd for this game was massive. People have been lining up for hours to get into the gym to watch this game. NBA players in attendance included Lonzo Ball, of course, Lamelo's older brother, Damian Lillard, Jamal Murray, Thon Maker, Andrew Wiggins. LeBron James was even there, but he never entered the venue. After speaking with authorities, he waited in his car due to the commotion caused by the crowd and eventually just left the venue because there was no way he could come in. He would stir up too much of a commotion with the crowd because eventually, just with the size of the crowd and people trying to get in, they were turning people away. The police had to be called to this game to help secure the crowd. And as I said at the beginning of this segment, you can't really go a week anymore without talking about the Ball family to some degree. And whether you want to admit it or not, the Ball family is here and their popularity is massive. Lonzo Ball is big. LaMelo Ball is huge with the under 18 crowd. And just that popularity effect with the Ball family coupled with Zion Williamson's popularity, he blew up this past year for his high profile massive dunks that went viral on the internet. Just these two guys together drew in such a large crowd, and that's good for the future of basketball. That the fact that these guys are still in high school, neither of them are even going to college yet. Zion Williamson has 1 year left, LaMelo Ball has 2 years left, and they are still drawing such large crowds, and even NBA players are coming out to see these guys. Now, Zion Williamson hasn't committed to a school yet. He's still undeclared, whereas LaMelo Ball has committed to UCLA. And again, Zion Williamson graduates next year, LaMelo Ball 2 years later, and I'm really excited to see these guys over the next couple of years. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco suffered a back injury, and he could be out for up to 6 weeks of the regular season. There is the possibility of him only missing one, but we really don't know how long he'll be out for right now. And there was a candidate available for the Ravens to sign in the interim while Flacco was injured. That was the starting quarterback in the NFL. He was a starting quarterback of a team that went to the Super Bowl, and they passed on this quarterback for a quarterback that played arena football. The Baltimore Ravens signed former arena football quarterback, former Stanford quarterback, David Olson. And if you didn't know who I was talking about before, the quarterback that had started in the NFL, gone to the Super Bowl, I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick. The Ravens could have easily signed Kaepernick, and they passed on him. And I understand everything that goes on around Colin Kaepernick and what you take on by bringing him in. But you also, at the end of the day, have to win football games. And I would put any money in the world that Colin Kaepernick would do better as a quarterback for the Ravens than David Olson. I'll be surprised if David Olson comes in and starts winning football games. It's just going to be such a difficult transition from arena football to the NFL, where you could have had a quarterback who's played the NFL. I get that he has stuff going on around him, but I personally would have taken Colin Kaepernick in this situation. It's only for 1 to 6 weeks, so it's nothing crazy. You just need someone until Flacco can come back. And speaking of quarterbacks, Chicago Bears quarterback Mitch Trubisky, who they traded up to draft number 2 in the draft this year, is starting this NFL season as number 3 on their depth chart. He is going to be the number 3 quarterback behind Mike Glennon, who will have the starting role, and behind Mark Sanchez, who will be the backup quarterback. And this makes sense. Trubisky only has 13 college starts to his name, and that was part of the controversy, you could say, of the Bears trading up to the number 2 spot to draft him, but he needs time to develop. If they put him in week 1 as a starting quarterback, he would be a bust guaranteed. He is not ready to play in the NFL. He needs some time to develop, at least a couple of years before he takes over the starting role in Chicago, and he's just not going to see a lot of Mitch Trubisky this upcoming season. John Jones, the big fight coming up this Saturday night where he squares off against Daniel Cormier for the second time, but he's already talking about who his next opponent will be. In an interview leading up to UFC 214, John Jones said he is interested in fighting Brock Lesnar, but he says he doubts Brock Lesnar would accept that challenge. When Brock Lesnar was asked about this comments, he said he would fight John Jones anytime, anywhere. And Brock Lesnar was banned from the UFC last year, but at the end of that ban, he could most definitely jump back in and fight John Jones if he so chooses. Of course, John Jones would have to jump up to the heavyweight weight class to fight Brock Lesnar, but I mean, in today's UFC, that wouldn't be too shocking if that happened, and I for one, would tune in to watch this fight, and I know that this fight would definitely make money for the UFC, so I definitely would not rule out the possibility of us seeing Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones square off in the UFC at some point in the future. We talked a little while ago about how Ray Allen said that the NBA needs a team back in Seattle, and it looks like Adam Silver agrees. In a Players Tribune interview this past week, Adam Silver said that Seattle is on a short list of teams for an inevitable NBA expansion. And I talked back in May when Ray Allen made his comments, and I'm going to say it again right now. I also would like to see a team back in Seattle. I think Seattle is a great sports city, and they deserve an NBA franchise. They were stripped of their team back in 2008 when the team moved to Oklahoma City, but it'd be great to have a team back there. But one thing, I don't like uneven leagues. So even if Seattle does get added back, that makes it 31 teams. I would like to see 2 teams expanded into the NBA very shortly, not this potentially the same season. I don't know how that would work out with 2 teams, but let me know in the comment section down below what other city you would like to see get an NBA franchise. Real Madrid is on the verge of breaking the transfer fee record. They are willing to pay 180 million euros for, now I'm probably gonna get this name wrong, Kylian Mbappe, the AS Monaco football or soccer, wherever you live, football star. What makes this crazy is Mbappe is only 18 years old. Real Madrid is paying 10 million euros for every single year Mbappe has been alive. And now for those of you that don't fully understand professional football in Europe, a transfer fee is not how much Mbappe is being paid. He is not being paid $180 million at the age of 18. A transfer fee is paid from one team to another in order to acquire a player currently on contract. That is the fee that Real Madrid must pay in order to acquire the contract of Mbappe. Mbappe himself is making 7 million euros over every year for 6 seasons. Now, an official agreement has not been reached yet. Real Madrid's manager Zinedine Zidane did say anything can happen between now and August 31st, the end of the transfer window, but Madrid is remaining optimistic that they will acquire Mbappe. From one young football player to another young football player, Alabama offered a football scholarship to Jaheim Otis. And now Otis is 6'4", 286, and still in the 8th grade. You heard that right. Otis is in the 8th grade and he's already 6'4" and weighs 286 pounds. When I was in the 8th grade, I was like 5 foot, maybe 75 pounds on a good day. And as I said, this guy's already received an offer from Alabama, Mississippi, and Ole Miss at the age of 13. It's going to be nuts to see what this kid does when he gets to high school. Let's talk about Kryrie Irving. If you haven't heard yet, the 25-year-old star point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers has requested a trade. And this caught some people off guard that Kyrie would want to be traded off a team that has been to 3 straight NBA championships, won 1 NBA championship, playing with one of the greatest players of all time, currently the best player in the world on an unbelievable team, yet he wants out. And it came out that Kyrie wants more touches. He wants to be the man. He wants to be the star on his team. He wants the treatment similar to LeBron, and he doesn't think he's going to get that in Cleveland. Now, that report in its own right of Kyrie wanting to be the man is a little bit, I'm a little disappointed in that. I think Kyrie is still the man. He's one of the biggest stars in the NBA, even playing alongside LeBron James. And LeBron James has aided Kyrie in ascending to being one of the top players in the league. There's no doubt about that. And LeBron has stated before he is trying to set himself up in a way that when he leaves Cleveland, Kyrie is the man and he has all the tools he needs to continue guiding the Cavs. So if we follow the narrative that Kyrie wanted to be the guy, then the short list of teams he provided the Cavaliers that he would like to go to doesn't make sense. Because one of the teams on there was the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he would have to compete with, depending on who he gets traded for. And we're just going to list the guys that are there right now. It'd be him, Wiggins, Jimmy Butler, and Karl Anthony Towns. He would just be part of another super team, and he would have to share the limelight again. So that doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit with the narrative of him wanting to be the guy. Now, I do think Kyrie wanting to be the man or the guy is a factor in his wanting a trade. But Richard Jefferson said it the best on his podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out the Road Trippin' podcast. But he said that Kyrie's had the hardest time in Cleveland. He's gone through 4 GMs, 2 coaches. He was supposed to be the guy and lead this team from down in the dumps when LeBron left. But then LeBron came back and he lost the lead role once again. So it does make sense. He's had a tough time. On top of that, we have to take into fact the Cavs haven't really done anything this offseason. They lost in Golden State to 5 games in the NBA Finals. So they clearly needed to do more. And all they've really done is sign Derrick Rose, and that's it. They haven't done anything, so LeBron is disappointed. So now Kyrie's worried that LeBron's disappointed in what the Cavs have done this offseason, coupled with the rumors that LeBron James will be leaving after next season. So if LeBron James is gone, this team is going to be nothing anymore. So it makes sense Kyrie could potentially just try to be proactive and get out of this situation Currently, kind of a bad situation. He's trying to get out of it before it gets worse. And I can't knock the guy for that because personally, I think LeBron James will leave the Cavaliers after next year. And that would just leave Kyrie in a questionable franchise without the star player that's the reason they're good. So he's just trying, I think, to jump ship before the ship sinks. And where will Kyrie end up? I'm not too sure. A report came out that 20 teams have inquired about the point guard, so really it's going to be tough to tell where he ends up. I heard the Celtics are interested, the Heat are interested, so are the Knicks and the Timberwolves. The Suns are another leading candidate, so it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. If I'm Kyrie, where I want to be, I want to go to Boston. Boston is going to be a solid team this year and for years to come, and that would be a great fit for him. Or I want to go to Minnesota and play with Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler. If he does go to Boston, who do they give back? I would give back Isaiah Thomas, because now you're getting Kryrie Irving instead of Isaiah, who is bigger than Isaiah, better defender, can finish at the rim better than anyone in this league. I think that makes the most sense for the Celtics. Will that happen? I really doubt Danny Ainge is going to trade Isaiah Thomas. However, if he goes to Minnesota, who would come back? I think Andrew Wiggins would come back. Andrew Wiggins said in an interview recently that he deserves nothing less than the Supermax, and I think Wiggins is a great player, but I don't know if he's quite worth the Supermax, so they could send Wiggins, who is still a bright young star, and maybe like a pick in exchange for Kyrie Irving, and now they have Kyrie, Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns. That is a solid team. I would go for that. But we'll have to see where Kyrie ends up. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Thank you once again for tuning into JAK Sports. Make sure you let me know in the comments section down below your opinion on anything I talked about today. I really want this to be a discussion, not just me talking to you. I want you guys to talk back to me, but I really want to know, where do you think Kyrie Irving will end up in this trade? The trade is supposed to be imminent, so I want to know what you guys think. And make sure you follow me on social media. You can find JAK Sports on Instagram at JAK Sport with no S on the end. You can find me on Instagram at JKels97. You can follow me on Twitter at TheJacobKelly. Thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week.